sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
What he was able to bring tonight, just in your team as a whole, maybe offensively. You talked about the half court a lot, kind of stalling out in those last few games. What was he able to bring back tonight?
Well, we talked about it before, just shot creation and shot making. He made some tough shots, when we needed him to as well. And, creates so well for everybody else, just another gifted offensive player, and for a team that struggled to score consistently, it's always a benefit.
You know what? That was an optimistic, positive way to spin what happened last night in Memphis. That if you sort of stop the tape at the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter, a lot of positives to take, a lot of great shot making when the Wolves needed it up until the 7-minute mark. Although Cat made that 3-pointer. I was on a flight last night back from my in-laws, and I freaking they almost had to escort me off the plane.
I don't blame you.
You were like, let me out of this plane. I got to jump. I'm so excited.
Well, then I almost jumped out of the plane for other reasons after that shot was made.
My video feed at the local watering hole was paused right after the first inbound miscue, and I just thought they lost. So I just thought that was it. So I didn't see the Cat 3 until 5 minutes after the fact, because I thought that's how they lost. It was bad. It was bad. My feed wouldn't work.
How much does being a Wolves coach age you?
Chris Finch looks older now than he did 2 weeks ago.
Chris Finch is essentially my age. Now, I know I got the beard, and I know I don't look young, but I mean, if you looked at Finchy and me, I don't think that you would say they're the same age. I think you would say, oh my God, Finchy, happy 62nd.
He's definitely grayer now than he was 6 months ago, right?
Poor Chris
I mean, that last shot where he's just got his head buried in the stat sheet of that clip we just
He's 52. He's the same age as you.
That's my point.
He looks older than 52.
But that's my point. But if you take away the gray beard and you look at us, I look like I'm 40 compared to him.
What needs to happen for you to get a faux hawk? Can we? How young can we make Judd look? I think is the question.
If I took the beard off, which I'm considering doing, I think I could look in my 40s.
All right. Okay. 49.
Late 40s.
Somewhere there.
I think so.
This is Mackey and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment, or venting lately. And we're going to get Dane Moore on the show today. Dane Moore from the Dane Moore NBA podcast. He's wonderful. He's the one that was asking that question to Chris Finch and other ones. And so we'll get to that, random season recall. But we go through who gets it, who doesn't every Tuesday. I have a sneaky suspicion there's going to be a lot of who doesn't get it based on recent Minnesota sports events. And I'll start us off here, if you guys don't mind. Yeah. I'll hit the breakfast ball here. And before I throw my first one out here, it's actually a combo. God, watching these Wolves games, I'm the biggest Wolves Kool-Aid drinker on this show by 5 gallons, and it feels like the Wolves, every time they start a fourth quarter with a lead, it looks like it weighs on them, right? Forget about the fact that these players are all fairly young and new, and they weren't around 8 years ago for another era of Bad Wolves basketball, or 12 years ago for another era of Bad Wolves basketball. It's like they're trying to undo the weight of 17 years of loser wiring every time they take the court. It's not just their lead to protect. It's 17 years post-KG ineptitude that they're trying to dig out from underneath.
Think about that. Remember when the Twins returned to the playoffs to play the Yankees, 3 years back now? And we all said, oh, man, the Yankees, you guys, and Rocco and the boys said, not us. Nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us.
But
and
they
then
felt the weight. They felt the weight.
That's my point. I've been saying this for years.
It's weird.
You feel the baggage. It's human nature, and I don't get it. But the way our brains are constructed, yes, we feel the Vikings. The Vikings feel a certain weight because of their past that there's no doubt in my mind, as stupid as it might sound, is there. Yes.
Yeah, and it's
you're right.
But it's a new coach, it's a new roster and all this stuff. It's but it's the same weight, and I don't know how you feel it, but you clearly feel it. And so who doesn't get it? And I hate to do this. It's so early in the season, but I'm going to put D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns, at least for this week, in the who doesn't get it bin. I think what I worry about here is that, and some people are going to laugh and say, wait, you're worried about this now? You should have been worried about this with Cat 3 years ago. But I worry that we've reached the point of no return for these guys as leaders of a high-level winning team. That the hope is that you've got a big three now, and Cat and D'Lo are going to be along with Ant, but he's 20 years old and he's still coming along, that those guys are going to be the leaders of a team that finally breaks through. And I just worry that they've endured so much losing basketball in their careers, and some of it self-inflicted, but like they don't know what high-level winning should look like. And I put this out last night, and I had a couple people like, well, D'Lo was the best player on a winning team a few years ago. Well, I mean, that was a 42-40 Nets team that got smoked in the first round of the playoffs, and then they immediately traded him. And so I went back and did the homework here. So Cat and D'Lo's teams in their careers, and they've both been around for Cat. This is what, year 7? So it's it's 10 to 11 years of combined experience here. And their teams are now a combined 299 and 484 when they play. And that equates to a 31 and 51 average record over 82 games. And so I guess, last night we can celebrate. Hey, D'Lo had 30 points. He made a bunch of shots. He made a bunch of threes. Like last night's, that was the version of D'Lo that you're hoping to get as a max player on a regular basis, right? But then in the key moments, okay, the Grizzlies are whittling away at that lead, and he throws a boneheaded, just bad drop pass to Jaden McDaniels behind his back, fast break the other way, turnover, fast break. And then, okay, so this lead it's 16, now it's 14, now it's 9, need some good possessions on offense. And he's just dribbling the shot clock out and playing isolation ball. Maybe some of that's on Chris Finch because they have a terrible half-court offense, but NBA history is littered with guards who score 19 points a game on 41% from the field, right? Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury. There's a million guys who put up good box scores, or at least passable box scores on bad teams. And Cat's kind of the same thing. This fourth quarter has played out probably 56 times in Cat's career where they take a double-digit lead and now it's time to hold on. And then he starts to get anxious and he starts to complain about fouls and then he can't get a shot off or whatever. And it's I don't know, man. These guys have endured some of it their fault, some of it out of their control. 11 combined, 12 combined seasons of losing basketball, and I don't know if they can dig out from underneath it. I don't know if they're the guys that are going to lead this thing. I'm not totally out on them, but this is a bad start and a bad omen.
And you really don't want this to drag Ant down. To your point, you don't want Ant to get caught up in this, and it's probably tough not to. But that's the most important thing because he's the one guy who I think has a chance to escape it. And you don't want him to fall into this, oh my God, this never ends here. That's what you have to break. I do hope though, because I do believe that what you're saying about the past and it weighing is accurate. My only hope is I think one thing that can sort of change it will be, and it's going to take too much time, but to transition away from Glenn to Mark. When Laurie imposes his will, and he will, on this franchise, that's the type of definitive break that I think can work, if that makes sense. There is a certain stigma around the Glenn Taylor-owned Wolves that never goes away. And I think a guy that comes in who's enthusiastic with ideas, who doesn't just enjoy coming up from Mankato to go to games, I think that could set a different tone. And I'm serious.
He'll be coming up from, is it Tolosa? Or Tusola? What's the city of the future?
Yeah, but you know what? He'll be doing it on a private plane, and he'll probably be flying guys like Cat and Ant around. I'm just saying this franchise so badly needs a break from what it's become used to because the status quo so often seems to drag things down.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sorry, D'Lo and Cat, man. Stop panicking. You got a freaking double-digit lead. There's talent all over the place, and they just throw Chris Finch in there too. But it's they just forget. Okay, you guys just played amazing basketball for 3 quarters. Why are you deer in the headlights right now?
And your guy Bees came in and jacked up a couple of ill-time shots too, which doesn't help.
Yeah, I know.
Your guy Bees loves to come in and
why is he my guy?
Yeah, why is he Bill's guy?
Why is he my guy?
Because he drives me crazy, and
because
you're the biggest Wolves fan on the show, and you get blamed. But I mean, he comes in, and he's like, "I'm Vinnie Johnson, the microwave. I'm here to heat things up," and then he sticks things in the freezer.
I don't know.
Nice. It's an '80s basketball reference there.
Detroit Pistons. The microwave.
I will say that the Iowa Wolves were very clutch last night. Double overtime thriller. McKinley Wright with just a ridiculous 3 at the buzzer. So there are young players on the way.
You go next. He's lost his mind. Your Iowa Wolves update.
Oh my
Volmero
God.
was great last night.
I am Phil. I'm Macadac.
All right, go ahead, Declan.
All right, I got one who doesn't get it, and it's Minnesota sports team who play with a loser's mentality. You're up 16 points with 7 minutes to go. 16 points. What do you have to do differently?
To blow that lead.
I know.
Dude,
I left to
that's
go to a
nuts.
bar because I thought the game was over. And
It's
that's
actually
my
hard.
mistake.
Think about that. Like 7. So you're basically halfway through the fourth quarter, and like a 32-point quarter is a really good quarter in basketball. And so you just have to prevent them from pacing like a 30-point fourth quarter at that point. And that doesn't count you also scoring points.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, dude.
And instead they go into prevent mode. They stop being themselves. You start chucking up bad shots, bad turnovers. You don't move the ball. I mean, the offense has way too much talent to be this inefficient. Like, you need D'Angelo Russell to chuck up 25 shots a game just because he has to. You know, like last week I said, oh, this is not the same old Timberwolves. Don't worry, they're still 3-3. But then you have a performance like that, and it's literally like nothing has changed. And I despise the narrative, well, Cat and D'Lo haven't been healthy together. These dudes have played 417 and 366 games, respectively, Cat and D'Lo. And then, so because they haven't been together on the same court, we have to still give them a longer leash. They've been in the league for 6 years, and you can't figure out how to win with them? It's way too much talent. And then this is why the Vikings loss on Sunday frustrates me too, because you go up 14 points. You go up 14 points in the second half, but then you're too scared and you wilt when the other team punches back. How do you get a kick return for a touchdown, win a turnover battle, not turn over the ball, and then still figure out a way to lose the game? That's a loser's mentality. It's playing not to lose, and these Minnesota sports teams are driving me nuts.
That's good. That one's coaching. That one is coaching. You know, when Zimmer, again, talks about, I've talked to the guys about this. Dude, you had the ball on the 16-yard line late in the half, chance to go up 21-3, and you never threw the ball into the end zone once with your quarterback. That's on you. Finchy, I feel worse for. Finchy and I, kindred spirits, feel bad for the Finchy.
I think, like, some of it is it's reference points, right? Like, Declan is a wonderful radio, podcast, and multi-platform producer, okay? So, like, now, after having multiple years of experience, you know that, like, when something goes wrong or, like, oh, my God, we're having this issue over here, like, you don't freak out because you've experienced it before. Yeah. You've fixed it before, right?
Things down. Yep.
Mm-hmm. But like if you were just stuck in, let's say, 7 years of whether it's partially your own fault or you just have, maybe crappy teammates like me and Judd around you, and it was like when things went wrong, they never got fixed. You wouldn't know how to fix them.
I know. Correct. And thank God we have a good teammates here that we rise up. We figure it out. We're not stuck in Game Show Friday 2016 for 7 years. We're not stuck in the same rut.
Here's another one for you here because I do want to bring some data on this because I know people are just all over D'Lo like, oh my God, it was an amazing game last night and like poor D'Lo. It's almost like Kirk Cousins. People look at D'Lo and they think, oh, look at his numbers. Look at him. Oh, what a great player he is, right? But like his teams lose. He's like 100 games under 500 as an NBA player. His teams are. And there's only 5 guys on the court. Like one great player can have a huge influence. LeBron James leaves a team. They lose 40 more games. He joins a team. They win 40 more games. Like Cavs, right? Right. And so if you go off of win shares per 48 minutes this season, we're only like 10% of the way through the season. So it's a small sample size. But this fits in line with most of D'Lo's career. The analytics do not like him. So there are 193 qualified players in the NBA. D'Lo is 168th out of 193 in win shares per 48 minutes. Forget about like, oh, he scored 30 points last night. This is entire body of work. It's efficiency. It's defense. It includes like how well your teammates play when you're on the court as well. Mm-hmm. And he's 168th out of 193. Karl-Anthony Towns is 29th. Out of 193. And he's not off to an amazing start, but like, right. And both of them are kind of in the same bin of meltdown in the fourth quarter. Like they don't know how to fix when things are slipping away in the fourth quarter. But Towns is an overall more efficient and better player. And so I would be more likely to try and hang on to him if you reach that point at some point. But like They got to get some wins, man. And now they play the Warriors. Don't they play the Warriors, Lakers, and Clippers in their next 3?
Yeah, they play.
Dude, they got to get some
Golden
wins.
State, I think Wednesday, and then Saturday, Friday, Saturday. I think they go.
Because
Lakers, Clippers. Yes.
if you start 3-9, like you're,
Yeah, I know.
what are we doing?
Being the Timberwolves. All right, I'm going to transition. I'm going to stay on a who doesn't get it, but I'm going to go to the world of the National Football League and in particular the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm going to bring, as Phil just did, data to a guy who doesn't get it. And we know he doesn't, but here's more information about why. Clint Kubiak and the Vikings offense. All right. I saw this tweet this morning. Doug Farrar, who does a lot of good stuff when it comes to National Football League stats. Important note, according to Doug, and he tweeted this in August, so that this was like a precursor of what was to come. When running no huddle in 2020, Kirk Cousins completed 24 of 32 passes for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. So 24 of 32, and bang, bang, bang. Like, that's good. Not lots of time to think, but he's delivering the football. Tyler Fornes updated that statistic so far for this season this morning, and boy, it is right next to the lack of play action as far as enlightenment. This season, Cousins only has 13 dropbacks in no huddle with 7 completions for 63 yards and no touchdowns. Only Tua and Jameis Winston have fewer dropbacks among starters. Whew. So he has now gone from something in which he was 24 of 32 for 265 yards, 2 scores, and no picks. So very effective, to being allowed to do it so far 13 times, and he's completed 7 for 63 yards. Again, what are we thinking here? Like Kirk Cousins, how long have we talked about the fact that he needs, and this is fine, but what he does well should be emphasized. Play action. He does it well. Let's ditch it. No huddle at times. He does it well. Let's ditch it. That is a true don't get it statistic to me.
Yeah, that's God, man. It's depressing today. Is there?
But it also brings enlightenment, like statistical enlightenment, as to what the problem is.
Statistical enlightenment. I like that phrase.
Like, what are you doing?
That reminds me, Dave Winfield's brother, Steve Winfield, once told he was coaching some of our little high school baseball teams, and he said, there's no such thing as a slump. It's a period of statistical adjustment is what it is. So this is not, we're not ripping the Vikings.
Write that down. That's my current write that down struggles. It's a statistical adjustment for Judd.
We're not ripping the Vikings. This is statistical enlightenment.
Yes. But the statistical enlightenment is, what are you doing to Kirk Cousins? Give me back my quarterback.
All right. Who doesn't get it? PJ Fleck. All right. Saw this on Reddit. Okay. This is Gophers Reddit, I believe, 21 hours ago by TomDog0022. And if you can't trust TomDog0022 to do some research, who can you trust? Right?
Woodward, Bernstein, Tom Dog.
And he writes, I've gone through all 106 games of PJ Fleck's coaching tenure, given the narrative that's developed that PJ cannot come back from deficits at the half. Once again, they're trailing at home, 14.5-point favorites, trailing at home at halftime to Illinois, and they can't get it done. In fact, actually, real quick side tangent. So when they were down 14-0 and their offense can't move the ball and Tanner Morgan needs to be benched, they score a touchdown. Finally, they grind their way into the end zone. Takes like a half hour. And the analytics would tell you in that spot, and there's an ESPN.com article I tweeted out on Saturday. When you're down by 14 late in the game, especially when your offense hasn't been performing well, go for 2 in that spot. Because if you get it, now all you need is one more touchdown to win the game. The goal isn't to tie the game at 14. The goal is to win the game. And so you'll see a lot of teams now in college and the NFL when they're down like 14 points, 10 minutes to go or 8 minutes to go, they will go for 2. And if they miss, they still have a chance to tie it, at 14. So anyways, I was annoyed that they went for the extra point. Of course, they missed the extra point because they're the Gophers. But so PJ is now 6-38 in his career when trailing at the half. And I think most or all of those wins came at Western Michigan. Yeah, 2013, 14. So he is now, there it is. He's 1-18 at Minnesota when
That came
trailing
this
at the
year.
half? Was it
The one
Purdue?
came, the one came this year. I forget the game. but it
Nebraska might have been
definitely-
Nebraska or Purdue.
Yeah, it
They
definitely
were,
came this season.
So that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
I
That ain't
mean,
good.
yeah, 1-18 when trailing at the half. So just like as great of a marketer as he is, and he has been a really good recruiter. They have more talent on this team the last few years than really ever in my life watching Gopher football. Of course, they can't find a dynamic quarterback. But when you can't coach your way against Bowling Green or at home against Illinois, it kind of defeats a lot of the work you did recruiting. So if you can't go into the locker room and figure out how to come back once in a while, one win trailing at halftime in your career, and it's not like Alabama where they're just never trailing at halftime.
Right.
Like Nick Saban probably doesn't have a lot of wins coming from behind because he's never behind.
Right.
The Gophers are. So PJ Fleck, row the boat. Sky
Go Gophers. I do have a good positive of who gets it. I'll bring the mood up a little bit. I will say the Minnesota Wild's depth and clutch scoring nature, i.e. a team that plays to win the game, a team that knows how to play to win the game. The Wild.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Positivity.
Here we go.
Wave the flag.
Where's it?
Wave the
Where's it?
flag.
It's always here.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've had the Wolves flag for like 2 weeks now, but
It's
we haven't had
sitting
a
right
chance.
here.
Haven't had a
That will
chance yet.
be sitting for a little bit longer. The Wild, though, in 1-goal games this season, they're undefeated. They're 4-0. When tied after 2 periods, they're 5-2. When the opponent scores first, they still find ways to win the game. And they are outshooting teams 135 to 80 in the third period of play. They're putting clamps down in the third period to win games. Now, their goal differential in that third period is only +1, but they're not just playing prevent defense mode. They're not playing not to lose. They're playing to win. And that's a team that handles adversity and doesn't play to lose. Ryan Hartman this season has 6 goals. It might be the best bargain in the NHL at $1.9 million. Marcus Foligno is defying trends that should suggest regression is going to hit him. He still scores big-time goals and does a bunch of little things off the ice on a box score that you're not going to see. And even when their goaltending and special teams are underperforming, meaning they're playing basically below league average, the team still finds a way to win. And there might be some unsustainability to that. I know the analytics crowd is starting to say, hey, this is good. Look out. They're winning these weird games. That's not sustainable. I look at it as, well, if you flipped the script, if the Wild were really good in the first 2 periods and then always wiltered, then what are we saying? Well, they're really analytically good in the first 40 minutes, but then they shouldn't be this bad in the third. Got to use your eye test here with this hockey team and say that this team knows how to win in clutch
Some
situations.
winning DNA there.
And-
some winning DNA.
And what did they do to get there? They shed the baggage. Always shed the baggage.
Listen, you guys know what this is all about, right? Right? What's it all about? Spurgey?
Hard work and having fun.
That. This is about winning.
That's right, Bill Guerin. That's
Wait,
right.
damn right.
Got it.
You damn right. This is about bleeping
Wave
winning.
the flag. Wave the
Dude,
flag.
wave it like you mean it,
Wave
dude.
the flag, dang
Wave
it.
it like you mean it. What are you
There you
doing?
go.
Picture.
What the
I'm
hell?
framing it. I'm getting it in the picture. I'm working on my framing, my spatial relations.
Spatial
right there.
relations.
I got 2 hands on the flag. I'm waving it like crazy, but it has to be waved.
The more like an
correctly.
11-20 wave, not a 97-22
Wait,
wave.
we're
That
not
looks
there
more-
yet.
that-
Dex, we're not
that's the
there yet.
older wave.
Dex, if I go full wave now, what's left? We got a lot of season left, okay? You're going to get the wave that you want in the spring when they're doing this in the third period of playoff games, okay?
All right.
So, like, until my chair is on the parade route, you're not going to get the wave that you want. But it does the cockles of my heart so good to see Zucker in a Penguins jersey, Parise in an Islanders jersey, Suter in a Stars jersey. God, am I happy.
We should have like a hollow box score rankings of the last 10 years. Like Jason Zucker, Kevin Love when he was here,
Cousins
D'Lo Towns,
is the
Cousins.
master of the hollow box score.
Miguel Sano. Oh, look, he's at 20, 30 home runs.
You
Oh,
know how
God,
simple
that's great.
this would be? That's a great idea. I love that idea.
The hollow box score
The
pecking
hollow.
order.
Who is your favorite hollow box score? Tweet us.
Judd, can you give us one more? Who gets it? Who doesn't?
Of course I can. Who gets it? You know what? I'm going to go and stick with the Wild, and I'm going to tell you and provide evidence again. Dean Evason gets it. Declan?
The nice thing is, like you said, one guy steps up or a line steps up one night. Your so-called top line doesn't get upset. You know, like why didn't I get the points? Why didn't? Who cares about points. We get 2 points, and that's what our group cares about. They're not worried about their individual stats or their selfishness. They're just as happy for the other group, the other line, the other D pair, whatever it may be on that given night. They give us a chance to have success. So it's nice they got a good team feel.
3 rooms down, 2 or 3 rooms down from that room where Dean was talking was one Zach Parise. Zach Parise, who was going to be taking off with his new team, having lost a game in which the Wild outshot the Islanders in the third period, 16-2. If you don't think that Dino knew exactly what he was saying on the night that he was saying that to whom he was talking to, you aren't accurately interpreting what he was doing, which was genius. I love the fact that they just put together a great team game, a great team win, where shockingly nobody was really selfish. And then he addressed a guy that, so publicly, as Deck saw, we got the Parise tribute, the video for Zach and like stick tap. Oh, it's been great. It's been fun. And then Dean post game told it like it was.
Where does Dean Evason rank among people who look like they belong in their specific sport?
Oh God.
Like Dean Evason as a hockey guy. He's pretty high up, right? Like if you just showed me, here's 20 pictures of random people, what sport do they belong in? I'd be like, he's that guy. I don't know about these other 19, but that guy's a hockey guy.
That guy's a hockey guy. Going back, Mike Tice for sure. Mike Tice,
that guy. Yeah.
Mike Tice is a big man, but you never would say, I think he's a basketball guy.
No,
he's just a football.
He's a football guy for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Who gets it? Who doesn't here on Mackie and Judd every Tuesday?
Dean. Way to stick it to him.
All right, we're going to take a pause here real quick, and then we're going to bring our friend Dane Moore, Timberwolves insider and host of the Dane Moore NBA podcast, to figure out what the hell's going on here. What's happening here?